Well, thank you for staying with us. The Nigerian Labour Congress NLC has been advocating for a minimum wage of 1 million due to the rising cost of living and inflation. However, the organized private sector, as well as states like Ekiti and Sokoto, has criticized this demand, considering it unrealistic. The NLC President Joe Ajero highlighted the impact of inflation and the falling value of the naira on their previous demand for 200,000 naira. He stated that the cost of living index should guide their new proposal. Ajero also expressed dissatisfaction with the federal government's failure to fully implement the 35,000 wage award for federal workers. I have joining me to discuss this in the studio, Rotimi Paul, policy analyst and property investor. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Given the current economic challenge in the country, how realistic is this demand for 1 million minimum wage? And, the private sector as well, the governors have expressed skepticism about the feasibility of this demand, knowing fully well that some of these governors have not even been able to pay the 30,000 naira for minimum wage, and as well, private sector businesses are closing up and all of that. How will you react to this?
Okay, I would like to start by saying the labor union have the right to demand any amount they feel is okay for their member. At the same time, government also have the right to negotiate to any amount also they think is convenient for them to pay. But for whether it is realistic or not, if you, just as you said, if you look at the 30,000 naira we are still even having now, it was implemented in 2019 April, and then many governors or many state governors were unable to pay then. Now, and if you look at the margin between 30,000 naira and 1 million naira, it's not a small margin. Now, if you are to go by statistics, somebody that is unable to pay 30,000 naira, I would definitely say the person who is unable to pay 1 million naira. And for the private sectors, in which I belong, as a real estate person, what is affecting the labor members is also affecting businesses. The construction costs, the running costs, everything has gone up. Now, to now add a minimum, that's what we're talking about minimum wage, just a minimum that anybody can earn. Now, if you look at this, if I look at our staff strength and look at a minimum anybody should earn is 1 million naira, I would definitely say it's unrealistic. And then for the state governors, if you look at the state governors, like we can talk of Lagos then, if you look at like a 2023 IGR that we have, where Lagos is running around the 651 billion, followed by Rivers State that have 172. We have state that generated less than 10 billion naira, which means that the strength of states are not the same. Meaning, some may even be, if some state like Lagos decide that they want to pay 1 million naira, I'm telling you definitely that some other states cannot be able to pay. So that's my take.
All right, let's also talk about the factors like the NLC have posed, like factors like food inflation, the rising cost of living and inflation. How would you say these are causing the demand of these wages or wage?
To be honest with them, because just as I said, the 30,000 naira, we can look at it that it's no longer sustainable. But the crisis we are having now, or the challenges we are having, like you talk about the food. If you go to market today, if you go to market yesterday, and then you have a price, you're given a price. If you go there today, it might be another price you will meet. And then what are the factors responsible for that? If we look at our production, our food production, you look at it that it has dropped down. Why? Because of insecurity. Some farmers are unable to go to their farm. And if farmers are unable to go to their farm, automatically there will be reduction in food production. So to them, I say it's okay. They are right. But other challenges they talk about, it's okay. Now look at we talk of since the fuel subsidy has been removed, everybody is being affected. both the labor union members, business owners, because most of the businesses run on fuel, run on generators like that. So everybody has been affected. Now, for their demand, they are right to say the challenges are the reasons why they are making demand. I won't fault them on that.
You rightly said how some of the states cannot afford this 1 million naira. You talked about Lagos can, but let's talk about the consequences. If this demand for 1 million naira gets to be approved, what are the consequences for the private sector as well, for these other states that can't even afford?
If we are to go by the statistics we have, somebody, just like I said, somebody that is unable to pay 30,000 will also be owing 1 million. But for the private sectors, if it is compulsory today that private sector must pay a minimum of 1 million naira, the best way to do is to reduce the staff strength, which means that one of the consequences is that there will be loss of job. And then for state governors, they will just continue their usual owing status. So they keep owing. So, and if they keep owing, what's the difference between when you're having 30,000 naira, somebody is owing, you are paying 1 million naira, the person is still owing. So I think that will be the result that will come out of it.
So how do you think the federal government can strike a balance between, all the states, between the NLC demand and all of that to accommodate everyone? How do you think the state government can strike a balance?
Okay, what I would like to say here is that if we look at the challenges we are talking about now, what I would like government to do is that, what are those major things that is causing this issue? Like we talk about fuel subsidy the other time. Now, when the fuel subsidy has been removed, if I'm not running on generator, the demand for my fuel would definitely be reduced. And then if demand for fuel is reduced, few people will shout that the cost of fuel is high, because most of the people that are talking, or most of the people that are affected, like when you're having, you have to consume maybe 20 liters, maybe per week, and you don't have any reason to consume more than 5 liters. The challenge has also automatically been reduced. So what I would just have government to do that, they just improve on major basic amenities that affect lives, like let there be stable power supply. And if there is stable power supply, a lot of things, a lot of businesses, the stress on a lot of businesses will just reduce drastically.
Okay, I don't know if you agree with the former Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, who is calling for a constitutional review for minimum wage to allow states to decide or determine their wages. I don't know if you share the same view with him.
Well, for me, I would not say some states should have their own minimum wage. I prefer it to be general, so that if the federal government will be the one to agree, and then the state government will follow. Because I'm just looking at some state government can tell you that someone that's owing 30,000 naira may not be able to tell you that they can pay more than 40,000 or 35,000, while some other state can be boasting of 150,000. So the difference will not be fine.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Paul, for your contribution so far. But let's take a time out, and Newsweek continues in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, it's Newsweek, where we highlight some of the biggest stories that made the headlines recently. Now, this week, the federal government has declared Odo Ochema, a staff of the Central Bank of Nigeria, along with 2 other individuals, wanted for allegedly forging former President Muhammad Buhari's signature. They are accused of stealing $6.2 million from the CBN. The government has filed a 6-count charge against Ocheme and his accomplice, and warrants of arrest have been issued by the Federal High Court. I have joining me to discuss this Akin of Fatunke, policy analyst, chartered accountant. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Yazimta. It's a pleasure to be here.
Right. It seems there are more to unravel in the last leadership of the Central Bank of Nigeria, led by Godwin Emefiele. What do you make of the revelation of forged signature, as it is, I don't know how possible that a president's signature was forged and is just being discovered?
Again, thank you and good evening, Nigerians, and wherever Nigerians might be residing and friends of Nigeria. My first reaction will be that of shock, S-H-O-C-K, shock and dismay that such a thing can happen in my beloved country, Nigeria. Secondly, I also know myself as playing in the fintech space. And in the fintech space, Nigeria is not just a giant in the West African sub-region. I dare say the whole of Africa. In fact, when it comes to issue of technology and fintech, we are known to be one of the easiest to do business with, to make sure that you feel at rest. And so Nigerians who are in fintech home and abroad are equally advanced. I want to say to you, Jacinda, that as I speak with you, just last week, some of my colleagues who are not Nigerians, who are in Singapore, yes, I repeat, Singapore, who we have been in class together, had to ask me that can it be true that a thing like a president's signature is was forged, and that monies actually left? No, their question was simple. Yeah, your president's signature might have been forged. We know that you have catchers by way of discipline over controls. Certainly, you have controls and discipline over controls that will catch that. And I went myth, and I said, well, allegedly, the central bank probe has indicated, unfortunately, that we had a boss, Musafa, who was the secretary to the federal government, come in open court, and that was it for me. That you mean a thing like this happened with all the controls I know we have, with all the gatekeeping that I know we have at various stages? It looks to me that there is connivance at the highest quarters. It goes beyond Eric, Odo, Cheme, Adamu, and Imam Abdulkadir that we are saying should help be tracked by Interpol. What has happened to our system of tracing the money? Definitely tracing the money. And I must also now then say that my bewilderment came to an alarmed proportion when I now discovered that it was cash. Now, wait a minute. Cash. How? Cash. 6.2 million, running into billions upon billions of dollars at a time that we were down on all fronts and calling on security, on education, on the Japa syndrome. It therefore says the hands of the crooked had gone not just to wipe off the control that we have is just not possible. I will tell you, I'm not a politician, but I tell you that the way it works, it's not then say, well, okay, a 6.2 million US dollars check was presented to Central Bank of Nigeria. A central bank now, a commercial bank. Now I know it's a banker's bank. I have
Exactly.
difficulty.
Okay,
I have
Mr. Akade,
difficulty.
I don't know if, okay, just to, in a way to, aid the investigation of this issue, do you think the former president, Muhammad Buhari, needs to speak on this, at least to aid the investigation, like I said?
I like to say that for issue of probity, for issue of accountability, for issue of fairness, for issue of responsibility, I go beyond asking President Muhammadu Buhari to speak. He should have spoken day before yesterday. I'm not talking about yesterday. when we talk of today, and speaking about tomorrow, I also believe for the sake of the reliability that we call Nigeria being greater than all of us, living or dead, President Muhammadu Buhari, I am hesitant to say it, but I will say it with my two eyes open, needs to be in the dock, needs to come and make testification. He has to come and he needs to appear in court. And in any case, we are seeing the tip of the iceberg. But Mustafa, yes. President Muhammadu Buhari, former president, wife of the president, those who surrounded the president at all that time, chieftains of the APC, must not only appear in court, must come and say their own bit. We are not going to be, in my mind, not trying to attack anybody, but for the sake of the Nigerian nation. A lot of things have been said that under the watch of Mr. President, a lot of malfeasance went across, including the Attorney General. They need to come and account. I made allusion to the fact that you should be able to trace the money. So who collected the 6.2 million cash? I understood that it was given to election observers. Election observers who are supposed to come in and help deepen our democracy. Who among them collected? What is the sign that they collected? They were put in hotels. Which hotels? Which transportation company will go 6.2 million US dollars?
Exactly, so many questions, Mr. Akin.
So I think Mr. President needs not be invited. I think by now he should be speaking, and he should not just be speaking through his aides. He should come clean to make sure that what we are talking about, he has not his hands, his nose, the whole of his limbs into this. That is what I will do as a president. I don't think I need President Bola Tinubu to summon him.
Quickly, how do you think this incident imparts the reputation of Central Bank of Nigeria and its operation, as well the measures that can be taken to prevent a similar incident in the future?
Scandal. Scandalous. It therefore means that the former CBN president was anything but a CBN president. His deputies and those who supported him had their hands and their legs into ensuring that this transpired. Is this therefore not an indication of how Emefiele decided that he was going to be president of Nigeria? Where was the funds coming from? These leakages, and since CBN not doing their primary duties and has allowed Nigeria presently to have gone down the drain, I think the reputation of our CBN has gone, and I dare say the reputation of Nigeria has gone, unless we actually knit this properly and come to terms. The international community is laughing at us as we speak. It's unfortunate. But the only way can we learn from it, Mr. President, former president, Mr. President, currently, can you have the political will to ensure that more of the revelation that we are going to get of the malfeasance that has drowned Nigeria in the way Nigeria has been drowned and grappling, put all the controls in place, checks and balances.
We are almost out of time. Let's get to our final story for tonight, Mr. Akin. Thank you very much so far. In response to the escalating insecurity in Nigeria, the federal government and the state governors have reached an agreement to create state police. This move aims to address security challenges more effectively. President Bola Tinubu and the governors discussed the necessity of state police during an emergency meeting in Abuja. While this marks a significant shift, further discussions and planning are required to implement this decision. I have Rotimi Paul, a policy analyst in the studio. I still have Akin Fatunke, a chartered accountant. Let me come to you. I don't know how you want to react to this. Quickly, we're almost out of time, to this idea of state policing that have been a long time call, although now people are saying it's a dangerous move.
To me, I believe on the state police, we need something like that. It's the right call, because when we talk of state policing, we are talking of using the community people to police their own community. It means that when they see strange faces, they know that these people are not from here. So they can easily monitor people. Even when they are talking of forest or bush, they can easily, those can be places they have been to. They can easily know, they can easily navigate their ways. When they are, in case if there is an intruder that comes around, they know where to go, where to attack, where to hide. So to me, I think is a right decision.
All right, let me come to you. How significant do you think the decision will be if finally approved in addressing the security challenges faced by the nation? Mr. Ken.
A major shift. A Thursday in the month of February of 2024, that we even thought about it at that level. And we are saying, yes, federal and state governors in principle are agreed. I am very, very happy. I'm very enthused. Look, I am aware there are pros and cons. There will always be pros and cons in everything in life, like economics will say. But when the ceteris paribus becomes paris ceteris, we know that that is the direction to go. In the first place, you cannot, for the life of me, for the life of blood that is spilled in this country nearly every second. That sounds like an exaggeration. But nearly every hour, blood that is spilled, male and female youngsters over the years, and we say we have a central force, FORCE, by force of arm. It hasn't worked for Nigeria. We don't even know who is next. The media call it the people in the accounting space, politicians, children crying as we speak. Unfortunately, this is not a cause. As we speak this evening, I'd like you to just check back between now and tomorrow morning. How many people have been kidnapped? And we are still saying we want a force that will be central in Abuja and be controlling Abakaliki and be controlling Ajegunle and be controlling Kwara and Namoda. Then we are what I call jesters in this country. And I think this bold move that has been made by Mr. President to say that we are going to set up a police force. Now, listen to this. It's not so much saying that we are going to set it up. Mr. President assembled all the state governors in this country and they said, in principle, there may be one or two that may say, no, we don't know, we are not sure we are going to be able to do this, we are going to increase our funding. But I tell you, let's get to it, let's get to the trough. I talked about a February 15. I am also looking at the February 23. February 23 is the day that Akeredolu is going to be buried. That man single-handedly with his Amotekun in his mufti kept on saying that is the way we should go, that is the way we should go, but you know, the whole of the country kept on just pulling him apart. Now, today has now become the tomorrow that we were thinking about yesterday. I'm very glad about it, and I think the state governors need to now get back to the state assemblies, do the necessary things that needs to be done. Yeah, we can go ahead and debate it, but this is the time to
we have
rescue.
To go now. We are out of time, Mr. Ken Fatunke, policy analyst, chartered accountant. Thank you very much for your contributions so far, and as well, thank you, Mr. Rotimi Paul, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
As well, thank you for being part of the show. That's the show for today. Remember, you can follow the conversation on our social media platforms at TVC News NG or on our website at tvcnews.tv. I am Jacinta Agochukwu. Until next week, it's goodbye.